Line brawls are exciting if you're a fan, but if you're the referee on the ice, you've got a lot of work to do. Everything happens at once, there's chaos everywhere, and you have to make it out of the situation without making a mistake. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down an actual line brawl situation, but first, we need to cover the best way to handle it. And if you don't know me, I'm Seth Ferguson. I have over 20 years of pro, major, junior, and junior hockey experience, and I help referees call their best game. Especially nowadays, fighting in lower levels of hockey is becoming less and less common. I remember my first year in the OHL, you could have 3 fights a game. Now you get suspended, so it's a bit of a change. And what that means is, as referees, we get less and less practice for dealing with situations like this. So when they do happen, we need to be even more prepared because we're not just seeing them as often, we're not getting the reps in. So I developed a framework to help you when everyone drops the gloves. It's called brace. And if you follow it, you're going to be in a much better position to stay calm, call what you need to, and stay composed. So the first one is B for breathe. Take a deep breath. A line brawl is a tense situation and we get that adrenaline kick, but that actually works against us. We need to calm our body down as much as we can. And the best thing you can do is take a deep breath. So as soon as a fight starts, the first thing I do is focus on taking a long, deep breath. Then we have R for relax. When we get tense, our shoulders tighten up, we're in that fight or flight response. We can't have that as a hockey referee. We need to see the game clearly. We're fighting our biology, but by taking a deep breath and then relaxing our shoulders, we can start to regain our composure. A trick I do is I take a deep breath, I put my hands on my hips, and then I try and feel my upper body completely relax. If we don't breathe and relax, the entire fight sequence is going to feel like it went by in a split second and we're going to remember absolutely nothing about what happened. The more relaxed we can get, the slower the situation will play in our mind, and that's going to help us see more clearly and remember things better. Hey, real quick, if you're a referee or linesman, this is for you. I've taken 20 plus years of junior, major, junior, and pro level experience and packed it into our free school community. We're doing live coaching, game tape breakdowns, and I'm showing you exactly how to implement pro level mechanics into your game right now. It's totally free to join. Click the link below and I'll see you on the ice. A for aware. Now that we're a little bit calmer, our first job is awareness. Benches, goalies, safety. We start with the benches. We need to place ourselves in a position on the ice where we can watch the benches and the players on the ice, especially in line brawl situations. If someone gets into trouble with no linesman around, someone on the bench might try and get involved. If that happens, we need to make sure we know who that player is. Once we have the benches checked, you need to look after the goaltenders. If the fights are in the end zone, clear the goalie out of their crease and send them to the bench. A goaltender getting involved in the fight escalates the situation, so you want to move them to a safer spot on the ice. We also need to be aware of safety concerns, like a player in a vulnerable position or a player using a stick or a helmet to punish their opponent. So remember, we do benches, goalies, safety. Then we have C for cause. Who caused it? When you have gloves everywhere and different pairs of fights happening all at once, the best place to start is with who caused it. Typically, the linesmen are going to go to that fight first, so that's where you'll want to start as the referee. This is important because there are additional penalties for the second, third, and fourth fights, etc., etc. So I remember when I first started, I messed this up and ended up throwing Taylor Hall out of a hockey game when I shouldn't have. 9 times out of 10, your linesman will go to the first pair. Start there. E for escalator. Who's escalating the situation? You're not going to get everything. That's just impossible. There's just too much going on. So once you have who caused it, now you're going to start to scan for someone who's escalating, who's going above and beyond the line, or who's standing out from the rest of the pack. That's your hint at where the next hotspot's going to be, and you can focus your attention there. Brace works really well. Breathe, relax, aware, cause, escalator. So now let's actually break down an actual line brawl. This video clip shows us a line brawl that's as textbook as you can get. And this is why I like to use this one as a teaching tool. This is a 3-man system game. way back in the day in Topeka, Kansas. First thing you'll notice, we're in the middle of a line change. We have one too many white players, so this guy's actually going to go to the bench. He wants nothing to do with what's going on. In retrospect, the linesman probably should have waited a little bit, but the linesman had an inkling on what was going to happen. He just wanted to get the puck down. But like I said, this is a really good teaching tool when it comes to line brawls. So let's take a look. I'm set up for the line change. Away we go. Linesman's going to drop the puck. And then the fun starts. So as soon as we have a situation like this starting, you want to start running through the brace framework in your head. So first things first, take a deep breath. You have to breathe. Second thing is relax your shoulders. So that's exactly what I'm doing right here. As soon as you start seeing this, you know what's up. You just want to start getting yourself in the right headspace. Take that deep breath, relax your shoulders. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to motion to the bench. The league at the time wanted us to physically motion, and that way if we had to ding a player for misconduct or game misconduct for being the second, third, fourth fight, whatnot, we could say, hey, listen, well, we pointed to the bench. We told them. That's why you're going to see me motion, but it's not going to matter in this case. So I'm motioning to the bench, away we go. Now, you'll notice I was over here for the face-off. I've actually moved myself over to the other side of the ice to make sure I can take a quick peek at the benches and still have most of the players in front of me. If I would have stayed over here, I would have had to turn my head to look at the benches, and then I'm not really able to watch the players at that point. But by moving over here, I can have a good view of the benches and keep most of the fighting players in view. Yeah, we have these guys over here, but you're trying to get as many people as possible. So remember, with brace, we want to breathe, we want to relax our shoulders, then we want to switch to awareness. So very first thing is the benches. Then if the goaltenders are close by, worry about the goaltenders. In this case, that's not really a worry. So let's keep watching. Take a look at the benches. Everything's good. Now I can start doing my thing. Now, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have come over to this pair. Now, you'll notice right before, let's back up. These guys were just kind of standing around talking. They weren't really fighting yet. So at the time, I thought, hey, I could come over here, have some presence, and maybe they'll just back off and I can get them to the bench. In retrospect, I probably should have stayed in my power position right here and just watched. That's something I should have done differently in this situation. But you'll notice right here, I start coming over, and then something happens. I've got my riot pad in my hand. This guy throws a punch, and you'll see me. I have to pick something up off the ice. What? My riot pad actually got knocked out of my hand by the player punching his opponent. So let's take a look right here. So this is why, especially in a line brawl situation, you know what's up. Just don't get engaged as the referee, especially in a three-man system. Let's watch again. See, I'm here, punch, and then my riot pad flops on the ice. I have to pick it up, and now I've just wasted about a second worth of time, and I've taken myself out of that power position. Now, the linesmen here do a really good job. Linesmen will typically, or they should go to the first pair, the pair that started it, and that's exactly what they've done here. So you see both linesmen right here with the first pair. As a referee, as you're trying to orient yourself, trying to figure out, hey, who started it, all that type of thing, just look for the linesmen. They're typically going to the people who started it, so you can start there in terms of figuring out your riot pad, your penalties. And that's really important because you have to know who to give a game misconduct to for a second, third fight, that type of thing. And that moves us, if we're following the brace framework, after we worry about awareness, well, then we have to worry about, well, who caused it, right? That's the C in the brace framework. So I'm going to come over here and start that process. So I'm going to swing over, get the numbers here for those two players, and then I'm going to start working away here, just methodically going from pair to pair to pair. And this is where having that relaxed mental state, things go by super fast. If you're super tense in your shoulders, the time's just going to fly by and you'll get nothing done. You won't record anything. You won't remember anything. So just be super chill, relax your shoulders, a couple deep breaths, and then you'll be able to go from pair to pair to pair. And like I said, this is a textbook line brawl situation because we actually have 5 pairs on the ice. Usually it doesn't break out break down like this. Sometimes you have, 2 versus 1 and that type of thing. This is a really good example. So let's keep watching. These players end up on the ice right here. Now, as the referee, you're not going to be able to help everybody, but I was close by, so this player definitely had an advantage. His player was defenseless on the ground, so I just pop in, hey guys, we're good. Let's simmer down, and that way the linesmen, they've got the players in the bench in the box. They can now move to the other pair. Now, quick tip: make sure both feet of the player you're putting in the box, they get both feet off the ice. That's really important, because if they come back onto the ice, now we have suspensions, we have fines, they get additional penalties. But if you just take them to the box and then they don't actually make it into the box, then we have issues. And as well, at higher levels, your door attendants are going to be able to close the door and really help with that crowd control. The last thing you want is the guy to leave the door open and then the player comes back on the ice because they don't like what's happening. So I'm handling these players right here. Linesmen do a good job. They go to the next pile here. You'll see right here, this guy's got him in a headlock. He's in a bad position, but at the same time, there's only 3 officials on the ice. That's not your issue. Your job as the referee is to monitor, make sure everybody's safe. But hey, the players chose to fight. They made their decision. If somebody's stuck in a bad position because the linesmen are tied up, well, it is what it is at that point. But again, good work by the linesmen. They separate. You can see this guy starting to leak. We've got a blood trail coming by. The players do a good job. They're done. And this guy's just holding him as he's leaking blood all over the ice here. Good fight. So now I come over. Linesmen come in. And then this pair just kind of broke up on their own and headed to the box. So very, very straightforward line brawl. It generally doesn't happen like this. And then I actually have to pick up the guy's jersey to figure out what number he is. It generally doesn't happen like this. But again, really good example. Good work by the linesman.